Welcome, dear friend, to this sacred space where we pause and listen. Today, we embark on a journey not defined by loud declarations, but by the profound depth of quiet. It's a reminder that sometimes the most powerful encounters with God happen not when He shouts, but when we learn to discern His whisper in the stillness. Many of us are familiar with the dramatic moments in faith, the mountaintop experiences, the thunderous pronouncements, the miraculous interventions that leave us awestruck. We crave those tangible signs, those undeniable proofs of God's presence. But what about the days, the weeks, the years, where life feels like a vast, echoing silence? Where our prayers seem to drift upward with no immediate reply, and the divine seems distant and hushed. It's in these seasons that our faith can be most profoundly tested and perhaps most deeply refined. I remember a time many years ago when I felt like I was living in a desert of spiritual drought. The world around me seemed to be moving forward with its usual rhythm, but my own spirit felt parched and still. Every attempt to connect, to feel that familiar warmth of God's presence, felt like reaching out into a void. Imagine a potter meticulously shaping clay. There are moments of intense pressure, of forceful molding and turning. But there are also moments of gentle shaping, of patient waiting for the clay to settle, for the very essence of the form to emerge through a quiet, unwavering touch. Our faith is much like that. It's not always about the dramatic shaping. It's also about the quiet resting, the stillness where the intended beauty can be revealed. This stillness can feel unnerving, can't it? It can leave us questioning. Are we doing something wrong? Have we missed a crucial step? Is God even listening? The temptation is to fill that silence with our own noise, our own frantic efforts to conjure a response, to manufacture a feeling of divine presence. We try to force God's hand, to orchestrate a moment that feels more spiritual, more validating. But what if the silence itself is a message? What if it's a sacred invitation, a space God carves out for us to truly hear Him? Not just with our ears, but with the deepest parts of our souls. In our busyness, in our constant striving, we can become deaf to the subtle nuances of His Spirit. We can miss the gentle nudge, the quiet reassurance, the profound peace that often accompanies His presence when it isn't announced with trumpets. This introductory phase of our journey is about embracing that quiet. It's about recognizing that God's voice isn't always a roar. Sometimes it's the faintest whisper, easily drowned out by the cacophony of our own thoughts and the demands of the world. It requires a deliberate stillness, a conscious act of turning down the volume of our internal dialogue and opening ourselves to the possibility that God is speaking. Even when we don't hear a sound, we're going to explore how this profound silence can actually be an antechamber to something powerful. It's in this waiting, this quiet anticipation, that we learn to identify the subtle currents of God's Spirit, preparing us for the battles ahead. Because as we learn to discern His voice in the quiet, we will also discover how to stand firm when the storm arrives. So, how are you experiencing the silence in your life right now? Are you actively seeking to listen within that stillness? God is present even in the absence of sound, and in our next section, we'll begin to understand how that quiet presence prepares us for more. And real quick, if you love Jesus and want to grow your faith, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos like this. Now let's keep going. The silence, while meant to be a sanctuary, can often become a breeding ground for something else entirely. Doubt, it's a sneaky thing, doubt, isn't it? It doesn't arrive with a roar, but like a creeping shadow, or a persistent whisper that plants seeds of uncertainty in the fertile ground of our unanswered questions. When our prayers feel like they're hitting a ceiling, when the tangible signs we seek are absent, It's natural for the mind to begin to spin its webs of what if. I've seen it so many times, both in my own life and in the lives of those I walk with. This feeling that perhaps our faith isn't strong enough, that we haven't prayed the right prayer, or that maybe, just maybe, the promises we hold dear are not meant for us in this season. It's like standing before a locked door, and instead of trusting that the key exists, we begin to wonder if the lock is simply unpickable, if the door was never meant to open for us. Picture a weary traveler lost on a vast plain. The sun beats down and the horizon offers no clear path. Thirst gnaws at them, and the weight of their pack feels unbearable. In this state, every rustle of the wind can sound like a deceiver, every shadow can morph into a lurking threat. Their own thoughts, amplified by exhaustion and fear, become their harshest critics. They might start to question their very decision to embark on the journey, to doubt the map they were given, or even the existence of the destination. This traveler is us, my friends, when we face the silent stretches in our spiritual lives. The enemy of our souls loves to exploit these quiet moments. He doesn't need to shout, he just needs to plant a small, insidious thought. Did God really say, or is he really with you now? These whispers, if left unchecked, can grow into a deafening roar of unbelief in our own hearts, creating a chasm between us and the very peace we crave. It's in these moments that we must actively remember that doubt is not the enemy's ultimate triumph, but rather a test of our commitment to truth. It's an opportunity to re-examine the foundation of our faith. Is it built on fleeting feelings or on the unshakable promises of God's word? The enemy wants us to flee from doubt, to pretend it doesn't exist, or to be consumed by it. But God's invitation is to face it, to bring it into the light of his truth, and to trust that he is more than capable of dispelling it. The beauty of this struggle is that it forces us to dig deeper. It moves us beyond a superficial faith, one that relies solely on external validation, to a faith that is grounded in an internal knowing, a deep-seated trust that transcends our circumstances. It's about choosing to believe, even when every fiber of our being feels uncertain. This is where true discipleship begins, not in the absence of questions, but in the courageous pursuit of answers found in him. We need to learn to recognize these whispers for what they are, tactics of deception designed to disarm us. They prey on our fears, our insecurities, and our desire for immediate answers. But God has equipped us with powerful weapons to combat these insidious assaults on our minds and spirits. In our next section, we will begin to equip ourselves with those divine armaments, understanding how to recognize and engage the enemy's deceptive whispers. So, are you susceptible to these whispers of doubt when the silence stretches on? How do you typically respond when uncertainty creeps into your heart? In the following section, we'll discover the divine provisions God offers to silence these doubts and strengthen our resolve. When those whispers of doubt begin to coil around our hearts, threatening to paralyze us with uncertainty, it's crucial to remember that we are not left defenseless. The Bible speaks so clearly about this spiritual reality, about the unseen battles we wage. It's not a hypothetical war, it's a real conflict for the hearts and minds of believers. And just as earthly armies are equipped for battle, so too are we, spiritually speaking. Think of a seasoned warrior preparing to face an invading force. Before stepping onto the battlefield, they meticulously check their gear. Each piece of armor has a purpose, a function designed to protect them from specific threats. They don't just throw on a helmet, they ensure it's securely fastened. They don't just grab a shield, they test its weight and strength. Their readiness isn't an accident, it's a deliberate, informed preparation. We too are called to be spiritually ready. The Apostle Paul, writing from prison, penned a powerful passage that serves as our divine blueprint for spiritual defense. He understood the intensity of the spiritual warfare we face, and he didn't sugarcoat it. He calls us to put on the full armor of God. This isn't optional armor. It's essential. It's not something we can afford to be lax about. Let's look at what this armor entails. Paul writes in Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 18, about standing firm against the schemes of the devil. He highlights 6 crucial pieces. First, the belt of truth. This isn't just about being honest. It's about being inwardly aligned with God's liberating truth, letting it hold us together like a belt holds a tunic in place. Without truth as our foundation, we are unstable, easily swayed by deception. Then comes the breastplate of righteousness. This protects the vital organs, our hearts. It signifies living a life that aligns with God's will, actively pursuing His commands and allowing His justice to be our shield against accusations and spiritual attacks that aim to cripple our spirit. It's about the integrity of our inner life. Next, we have feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. This is about being prepared to share the good news, but also about the peace that the gospel brings. A peace that allows us to stand firm and advance, no matter the surrounding turmoil. It means having a settled assurance in God's plan and presence. And then the shield of faith. This is crucial. Our faith isn't a passive belief.